And we are live. Hello from Berlin. Welcome to this Recovered Carbon Black live stream. A couple of things about the conference. I was inspired by reading an article on LinkedIn about something the Nike marketing boss has posted, his industry principles, and I was inspired how to transfer this to our industry, the recovered carbon black industry. So let's start with the conference. The conference, Recovered Carbon Black Conference, will be on November 6th, 7th, and 8th. I will run a workshop on the 6th. You might have seen my video already. This is an introductory workshop for non-technical people so that you understand what is recovered carbon black, and you can ask smart questions in the conference and talk with the industry contacts. Then the conference is on the 7th and 8th of November. We have 240 signups, so this will be a big conference, the event of the year for recovered carbon black. There will also be an expo, and for the expo, there's still possibilities. Also, there is still a sponsoring possibility for a drinks reception before the conference. So that is on the 6th of November. And if you want to sponsor, contact me or contact Smithers. That will be a nice exposure for your company and your brand to a large crowd of people working on recovered carbon black. So, so much about the conference. Let's look at the comments. Hello, Enrico. Hello from NL. Nice to have you in this live stream. If you're joining the live stream now, say hi, say where you're coming from. Also, please ask questions. I will be live for about half an hour, and will be nice to engage with you, to get your questions and to get your comments. I know this is a live stream only for European colleagues. The Americans will be still asleep. Normally, the live streams for both worlds, Europe and US, are running at 2 p.m. But I wanted to run this at 10 o'clock and for European friends. Oh, hello, Benson. Very nice to have you, Benson from Enrestec in Taiwan. I think the longest operating company in the recovered carbon black business with 3 sites. Very impressive work. There is also Warren Steele from Carlton Forest Group in the UK. Hello, Warren. Welcome. There is Antonio Grillo. Hello from Milan. There is Yogesh. Hello, Yogesh from Vibold Consulting. Nice to have you in this live stream. Please do ask questions as we go along. Don't know whether you were on already when I talked about the conference. We'll all meet later on in November, pretty much 1 month. And the conference is booked with 240, I think more than 240 people. People are coming still and booking now. The only issue with the conference, you can get the tickets. However, the problem is the hotel is booked out. The event hotel is booked out. There was an apartment hotel, Hesperia, but that is booked out by now as well. So now we're talking hotels which are about 10 minutes by Uber, by car from the event. Victor, hello. New Energy, Hungary, one of the longest standing in Europe as well. Great to have you, Victor. There's Thorsten Weber, Germany as well. Giovanni Gambotto from Barcelona. Hope to see you on the conference as well. Krishnan, hello, Krishnan. I think India, right? If I look at the name. There's Christian as well from Norway, from Oslo. Great to have you all. And let's dive into a discussion about the recovered carbon black industry. You might have seen me on events like the ETRA, European Tire Recycling Association Conference. There were a number of conferences. There was a conference in Amsterdam from beer, the World Convention, World Recycling Convention. There also was a Zurich convention in Brussels, where I presented, and you might have heard me some pretty, how to say, frank messages. These are pretty much the learnings I have from the industry, and sometimes they are counterintuitive, and we jump right in. So I have 5 recovered carbon black industry practices and principles, which I learned in 8 years consulting, and I see them over and over. And the first principle is a very simple one. It says you cannot beat the mass balance. In some other industries other than recovered carbon black, and I tell you in a moment why I don't talk about the tire pyrolysis industry, but rather about the recovered carbon black industry. So in other industries, the mass balance is even stronger, working against you, or might be working against you. What do I mean with you cannot beat the mass balance? So in recovered carbon black production, we're using a process called pyrolysis for splitting the raw materials into gas, into solids. And at that point, the gas stream might be 60% and the solid stream might be 40%. The gas stream, as you know, can be chilled, and we can condense the condensable gas part of it, which will turn into the oil fraction. So we have 10% gas, 50% oil, and maybe 40% of the solid residue, which we can turn into recovered carbon black. What do I mean you cannot beat the mass balance? There are operations also for tire recycling that do not valorize the solid fraction, that do not have a recovered carbon black product. Of course, every mass stream that you don't valorize becomes a liability. You have to pay for it. Maybe you landfill it, or maybe you burn it, and then you just recover the energy. But the mass balance and the value of all the output streams determine your revenue streams. And by now we know that recovered carbon black can be the moneymaker with prices of well beyond €1,000 per metric ton, whereas the oil can scratch almost €2,000 a ton if it is a very low sulfur oil and very high quality oil with very few corrosion factors. So we have some new participants as well. Hello, Pablo from the Netherlands. Hello, Franz from, I think you're based in Switzerland. No, you're based in Germany, right, Franz? So Femtogy is there as well. And see you soon in Barcelona. Thank you, Franz. So back to the mass balance. So mass balance, really, you can't really forsake 40% of your output. The other industry I was talking about where the mass balance is even more against you is methane pyrolysis carbon black. There's a company who has successfully commercialized the carbon output, and that is Monolith. Now, the mass balance in methane pyrolysis is you split the methane in 25% hydrogen. Hydrogen is what everybody wants. They call it turquoise hydrogen. And so it's a sustainable hydrogen, but it's only 25%. So we have 75% of the carbon fraction. And there is more than 20 companies in the world looking at methane pyrolysis for hydrogen production. But if you don't commercialize 75%, or if the 75% of your carbon fraction are of low value and you can only use it for soil remediation, that is not a good business plan. So first principle, you can't beat the mass balance. What do you guys think about the mass balance and the first principle? Let me know. We got one comment from Yogesh. So Viable Consulting will be there in Barcelona. Great to meet you in Barcelona, Yogesh. Let me know, guys. What do you think? Does it make sense? You cannot beat the mass balance. Actually, have the mass balance work for you and make you money. That's the message I want to send. Now, the second goes into why I don't call our industry the tire pyrolysis industry. And I don't call it recycling industry either. You might have seen me in the ETRA conference asking all the colleagues, are you in recycling? And all the arms went up. And I invited everybody not to understand themselves as recyclers. So second principle is, if you are in recycling or in pyrolysis, you have the wrong business paradigm. So your business paradigm is how you approach the business and how you understand the business. And I believe while it's easy to build a recycling company, you buy a kiln and your own business, right? But we know that for recovered carbon black, we need so many more steps. Pyrolysis is a required step, but is only one of at least 6 steps we need for a recovered carbon black production. Our business is precision engineered production, not recycling. So, of course, ETRA is a recycling organization. Uric is a recycling organization. Beer is a recycling organization. I think the way I'm thinking, recycling is needed because we have a waste. In a true circular world, we don't have a waste, and we have circularity, and we have streams we can valorize, and then we don't need recycling. Recycling pretty much is the business where we pick up a waste, a totally uncontrolled waste, and we make something out of it. And I think recovered carbon black is a very, very different business. Recovered carbon black needs to be a precision engineered production. At least if we want to sell to the tire industry, to the rubber industry, plastic industry, these companies, these applications require high precision engineering. So we have a little bit of a disconnect because in large parts of the world, we have a recycling operations mentality where, people make something out of tires. However, the quality of the end products is not very high. And so it's easier to start up that business. In Europe, we have, and in the US, we have the flip side. We look at recovered carbon black production as a high precision engineered business requiring massive capex investments. And many, if not all of the companies have difficulties getting finance and getting the plants built. We got some more contacts, some more comments from Victor. What do you think about the new EU regulation ban of microplastic use as infill materials from 7th of October 23? How this regulation will change our industry? That's a very good question, Victor. I'm looking at this as an opportunity. I think the trouble is the microplastic with the infill is a very small volume compared to the microplastic from tire wear particles. And I think that is the big one. And that comment was made by Chris Twigg, actually, in the Uric Convention. And it's a very valid comment. Because I think the tire wear microplastics are the volume, mass volume of tire wear is much higher than infill spill. So I'm not sure whether that regulation is, hitting the spot. However, companies like Genan, granulators, recyclers, mechanical recyclers will need to find other markets for that product, and maybe pyrolysis doesn't need that fine a granulate. Tire infill is, 1 millimeter, around 1 to 3 millimeters maximum, whereas continuous pyrolysis maybe takes between 3 and 6 millimeters. So I think the mechanical tire recyclers will need to specialize on pyrolysis. Shalinda, hello. Nice to have you. Hello from India. Also, Manoy, hello. Anna, hello from China. Nice to have you all in this live stream. So, I think the feedstock control, and this is what why Victor is raising the topic of the infill ban. Feedstock control is very, very important for recovered carbon black production. We engineers say garbage in, garbage out. So we need to know what is the chemical composition of the tires going into the pyrolysis to get a consistent product. And there have been some patents around this. There have been some industry practices around this. So it doesn't. It's not enough to just make tires smaller for the pyrolysis, but we also need to select the tires. Back to paradigm 2, which is about the or principle 2, which is about the paradigms, recycling paradigm or engineering paradigm. So we said pyrolysis is a core part of the process, but it's insufficient for the recovered carbon black production. We need 5 other processes: tire selection. We need to make the tire smaller, so granulation of the tires. We need to mill the recovered carbon black. We need to take out any iron, any steel out of the recovered carbon black, pelletize and dry recovered carbon black. So there's many, many more processes for recovered carbon black production, both upstream and downstream the pyrolysis. There's one more comment. Hello, Elliot. Hello from Fusion One, UK and USA. And Enrico makes a comment. In the EU, they want to have a minimum 25 to 30% of mix of recycled or bio-based content. Would it count to use recovered carbon black? Yes, absolutely. So we see this already in non-tire rubber products. And the biggest one maybe is still an automotive product, which is body sealing. So these are the profiles that seal the door from the car body or let's say the boot or engine bay. These kind of profiles. Companies already now stipulate 25% recycled. And of course, recovered carbon black is one contribution. Rubber powder could be another, and devulcanized materials could be a third. And they could all work together depending on what is the raw material. And all 3 together can get the 25% recycled. So, Elliot said hello already. Let's go back to the industry principles. One other principle, which I first told answering a question in the ETRA conference in Brussels, is about the Starbucks strategy. And this is a funny one. You know, you can call it the Starbucks or the McDonald's strategy. And you might wonder, why is this relevant for recovered carbon black? And the McDonald's or Starbucks strategy is make the same product everywhere. You could make the same poor coffee or make the same, a low quality burger everywhere. But when you go to Starbucks in Tokyo, Rome, Berlin, New York, everywhere, you will get the same type of product because it's standardized. And we need that in the recovered carbon black. Now, of course, with ASTM having the proposal for the classification, that's a huge step. Now we can talk. Now we can compare products. Right now, Benson and Victor and other people in the recovered carbon black industry will confirm. Right now, everybody is a single source for the customers. There's only one recovered carbon black, like your recovered carbon black in the world, and we need to get to the industry manufacturing same products, pretty much as the carbon black industry is manufacturing a 700, 600, and 500. So consistency is key. Recovered carbon black customers can adapt to consistent but low quality recovered carbon black. Consistency for me ranks higher than the absolute quality level. And the absolute quality level I would measure in the rubber activity and the reinforcement properties. And this is leading me into the next principle. The 4th principle I want to suggest is make money first and then make your product better, make the world better. Many companies I work with, they want to do the perfect thing, and they measure their success, very, very critically. But for a startup, the first goal is to make money, and very often, you need significant R&D effort to make a really, really good recovered carbon black. Maybe you even want to take the ash out. Maybe you want to have the reinforcement of a hard black 300 type of carbon black. And you need a lot of resources, you need a lot of time, and then you arrive at the end of your money. So it's great when you have special ambitions for technology and products. But my recommendation is to be very mindful to the quickest route to cash flow. And that is, even if you sell a lowish quality product that is consistent, that makes you money, and you can reinvest in maybe upgrading the kit, even upgrading your pyrolysis reactor, upgrading everything that comes before the pyrolysis or behind the pyrolysis. Invest in product development. So that's directly coming from the Starbucks strategy: make money first, and then improve on your business and on your products. Enrico says, definitely thanks for the feedback. Welcome. Thank you for the question. We're already in the fifth industry principle that I see. So while recovered carbon black is coming from waste tires, end-of-life tires, and for me, the big motivation is tire-to-tire recycling. So I'm thinking of building tire-to-tire recycling ecosystems. And for that, of course, we need the collaboration of the tire industry. Recovered carbon black can go in the tire, in the inner liner, in the sidewall. But the tire pyrolysis feedstock can also go into the petrochemical or refining industry or into the carbon black industry. And then we have added streams which can go back into the tire. So we're talking about very big companies. We're talking about big tire companies, big petro and big refineries. And the fifth principle really is all the startups, they want to work with these big companies. And there's a big difference. There's a big disparity between small startups and those big corporations, and it's very difficult to have an eye-level discussion. So my fifth industry principle is: don't be blinded by big companies. It's tempting to sign with big companies very early, but what I would recommend is first develop your value proposition. For sure, file your patents, because the big companies, they love to grab your IP. And I'm not saying it's wrong to work with big companies. I've seen many nice collaborations of the tire industry engaging with recovered carbon black industry, and that's the way to go. What I'm saying is, don't be blinded. Don't be someone you are not just for their collaboration with big companies. They have their own objectives, they have their own agenda, and if the agendas are aligned, fantastic, go forward and work with them. But we can generalize. Be careful in your business partner choices and in the self-evaluation of your company and your products. Those big companies, of course, they want the same performance. They want green credits, green accreditation, and they want the same material but cheaper than the incumbent, the fossil-based material. And that is, for me, that is breaking the second magical triangle, the triangle of recycling. Because if you want the same performance, you want green credentials, and then you want a cheaper price, that is not a fair ask. I think we have to be very mindful about the complexities of recovered carbon black production. And I would say it's an unfair ask to ask a much cheaper price from recovered carbon black at the same performance level of other fillers that recovered carbon black is replacing. We got some more comments. So Elliot is saying, how many companies actually exist to upgrade the raw char to recovered carbon black? That's a very good question, Elliot. For me, I only see those companies that work on the recovered carbon black. I don't tend to work with companies that don't have the recovered carbon black in the profile. Of course, there's companies that don't have the recovered carbon black developed yet, and they need my help for them to have a product that they can sell and to improve the product. How many companies? So I didn't put this hat on. This is prospects for recovered carbon black. This is my industry reference report, which I wrote with Paul Eiter, furnace carbon black world expert. We think it's the best report for giving a profile of the industry of the recovered carbon black. And there we have 24 companies. So that is, I would put that number forward to you, Elliot. 24 companies that seriously are looking at recovered carbon black commercialization or already have industrialized. And there's maybe 1,000 companies in the world doing tire pyrolysis. So this is the top crop, those that commercialize recovered carbon black. Coming back to the first principle, you can't work against the mass balance. You have to valorize everything. If you don't valorize recovered carbon black into a product, into a reinforcing filler product for the tire and rubber industry, you can burn it, but then your value is 30, 50 euros a ton. Whereas, as I told you, recovered carbon black, if it's a good, consistent quality, and if you can replace a 600 grade carbon black, then you're talking about prices way beyond 1,000 euros per metric ton. So for me, this is a non-brainer question. You have to valorize recovered carbon black in order to make the business work. Enrico, again, let me, so upgrade the roadchar. What do you mean with GRG, General Rubber Goods? I think that's General Rubber Goods, right? So I don't understand the second part of the question. Maybe you can detail a little bit on it. LinkedIn user, there's no name. Hopefully we can see the recording of this livecast again, as it is clashing with my schedule. Yes, LinkedIn puts the recording on my profile, and there's much information about recovered carbon black already on my profile and on the company page, Wolferstorf Consulting Berlin. So Yogesh makes a comment, true, RCB is not as similar as carbon black. No, it's a composite. It's a mixture of carbon blacks plus all the inorganic material plus volatiles plus carbonized polymer, so fresh carbon. However, we don't care what it really is. What we care about is what it can do in the tire and in the rubber applications. And there we can replace 600 grade carbon black, sometimes up to 100%. Other people go the mixture route. For example, Cabot has a product 550 grade, which has 10% recovered carbon black, pretty much like at the filling station. You have in Europe, you have E5, E10 with 5 and 10% respectively of bio-based content. Enrico, General Rubber Goods is also a market for recovered carbon black. Yes, I mean it's also from talking about the fifth principle, working with big companies. It's difficult. They have a lot of requirements. They don't like single source, and they want really to see the stability of the product, but also the company. How can they know that the startup is still supplying next year and in 10 years? Sometimes it's very difficult as small companies grow. So it's easier to work with smaller companies than the tire companies. Also, approval time for tire is much longer than in non-tire rubber. And plastics, again, is a little bit shorter. So, recovered carbon black producers need a good mixed strategy going to market. Tire is the big volume and the longest approval time. General Rubber Goods is a nice, mid-market for recovered carbon black. Giovanni makes a comment. Recovered carbon black is actually in use for some ESD compound application, maybe as additive to some base thermoplastic polymer. So ESD is electrostatic discharge. So when you buy anything electric, maybe a chip or something, the film that is protecting the packaging film certainly has some conductive material in there, so that any static charge is discharged, because it would destroy the chip or the electronic part that is packaged in that film. Now, I would say I looked at conductive recovered carbon black. I even wrote a report in 2019 or 2018 already about conductive recovered carbon black. You need to do a lot of things, and the market for conductive carbon black is attractive because of the pricing. You get like 5-figure dollar or euro per ton. However, the market size is only 1%. And what you have to do after the pyrolysis, in addition to making your recovered carbon black conductive, is really super complex. And we're talking about OPEX costs, so operational cost, in addition to the pyrolysis, where you already have a cost of some 2,000 euros per metric ton. To get conductive material. And then is a question, do you really want to do that? Why not target rubber and tire and maybe some basic plastic customers with recovered carbon black? So conductive applications is a possibility, but coming back to principle 4, make money first, and then you can do specialties. Certainly, I would not recommend anybody doing recovered carbon black as a conductive product as the first product. First, sell your whole plant into tire and rubber and plastics maybe. If you want to do conductive, that's a specialty. Do that in phase 2, 3, or 4. Enrico has a question. You mentioned RCB can be used in tires and different industries, but the general rubber goods industry is 30 to 40% of the total rubber industry, and a big opportunity for use of recovered carbon black. About market size, the guy to ask would be, and the guy to have on the stream is my friend and industry colleague, Paul Eiter. I don't think non-tire rubber is 30 to 40%. I think tire is 75% of the total market for carbon black. And then non-tire rubber is some 20%. Yes, there is big volumes, and there's a lot of companies that are buying, between 2,000 and 10,000 tons of carbon blacks, and some part of that can be replaced. I'm recommending selling into non-tire rubber. Also, the volume is more in line with the current recovered carbon black production. Tire makers, they cannot put recovered carbon black into any commercial tire if they don't get 100,000 tons. And who has 100,000 tons of recovered carbon black? So what we see in the tire industry is that recovered carbon black is put into racing tires. Why? Because there's only 100 of those racing tires manufactured per year, and that is the volume where you can put recovered carbon black. A little bit counterintuitive, but so the volume needs to be there for the tire industry, and that's another good reason to go in non-tire rubber industry. Krishnan, Krishnan is confirming as well. Anna, in China, there are many companies are working on the RCB refining now. I think that's a big opportunity, and I presented, don't know whether you have seen my 2 presentations, Anna, one on the World Carbon Black in Jiangxi, and the other one in the conference of the Chinese Tire Recycling Association, which I did also with and for Smithers. So next year, we're planning to have a recovered carbon black conference in China. And so we're preparing collaborations on that. In China, the recovered carbon black refining very often is referred to as deep processing. And in China, there's big capacities, big companies doing tire pyrolysis. So far, I haven't really seen much on the refining part. And also, as I said, it's insufficient to just refine the raw char, but we have to be picky on the raw material selection as well. But I think there's a big opportunity in China because we have big pyrolysis capacities that are already industrialized. So, it's a good opportunity to go the next step and manufacture recovered carbon black. Of course, Chinese market for carbon black is huge as well. And the feedstock in China, if I remember correctly, 2015 figure was 10 million metric tons of scrap tires per year in China. So there's a lot of feedstock. Yogesh confirms 20% non-tire rubber industry. Thank you. Plastic master batches is a good segment. Yes, I mean, we need to be mindful in plastic and also in inks and coatings, but this is going into more specialty inks and coatings might require more post-treatment and hydrophilic surface or oxidation. But plastic, we're talking about color, and the preferred color is a jet black, so very deep black. With recovered carbon black, we cannot expect the very deep black. My webinar, Recovered Carbon Black and Plastic Now, is free accessible on my YouTube channel, where I also show you the different the blackness level, the jetness level you can obtain with recovered carbon black. It's like a traffic black, more it's dark gray, anthracite gray. You can obtain with recovered carbon black, because again, we not only have carbon blacks, a mixture of carbon blacks, but we also have inorganic material like silica. There might be some zinc oxide, zinc sulfide in the mix. And these are white pigments more than black pigments. So what we get is a gray. What can be nice, depending on the size of the recovered carbon black, we can get good tinting properties. Enrico says, thank you for the live stream. Speak to you soon. Thank you for joining, Enrico. Have a great day. There's a new participant, Shong Hao Pang. I'm new in tire industry and missed the early presentation. Is RCB low cost than virgin carbon black? That is a very good question. And I mean, the cost and the value are two things, of course. But I think what you're asking is the price for recovered carbon black. And of course, it depends on the quality level, on the reinforcement level you have in rubber, on the number of things. ASTM committee suggests 4 tests to characterize the recovered carbon black. For me, the most important is the reinforcement properties, the activity in rubber. If the activity is the same as a 600, then I would say it's fair to have the same or even higher price, because we have the green credentials in addition. And that's my message to recovered carbon black producers, but also to the tire producers who should accept a higher price for a material that has equal performance but has added green credentials. Krishna is saying the conveyor belt industry has also good potential. Conveyor belts, I think, when we look at the non-tire rubber markets, is one of the bigger markets, the non-tire rubber markets. And a conveyor belt, for me, pretty much is like a tire. You have like a tread, abrasion resistant outside, and you have a carcass inside, which can have plies, so textiles, and belts, so steel reinforcement. And the problem really is how to transport those conveyor bands, because they're running sometimes in places like Australia, they're running like miles and miles. So the question is, it's even worse than the mining tires. You really have to cut them in place to transport. So anonymous LinkedIn user, thank you for detailed information, Martin. Information is very useful for us. Christian, thanks, Christian. Not sure why your name is not shown and your company. Would have loved to say hello. Thank you, Christian. So we're coming to the end. Maybe last round of questions and comments I can display here. Thank you for watching so far, and let me know what you think about my 5 principles. You cannot beat the mass balance. If you're in recycling or pyrolysis, you have the wrong business paradigm. Use the Starbucks or McDonald's strategy for commercialization. Make money first, and then improve your products and make the world better. And the last one, don't be blinded by big companies. These were the 5 principles I discussed, and of course we talked about the Recovered Carbon Black conference. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day, have a great week, and hopefully meet you all in Barcelona. Greetings from Berlin. Bye-bye.